Belichick's lost a step to me.
I'm not going to do this.
This is Anik Squared.
What is up? It is Anik Squared, Season 2, Episode 2. We're in the same building, which I really don't know how much I like because I'm already fired up. But this is Jon Anik. My name is Jason Anik. We're identical twins. I'm sure you know this guy, voice of the UFC. But this guy's a pro in this game, man, and I'm trying to drive this bus, and this guy really should be the one driving it. Well, maybe for Episode 3, the folks at DraftKings and the folks at Toyo Tires will give me the controls, but at least right now, it's great to have you driving the proverbial bus. It's great to have everybody back with us for Anik Squared. If you weren't with us for Episode 1 and you're checking us out for the first time, we appreciate that as well. As many of you know, I was in Sydney, Australia for UFC 293, still battling the jet lag a little bit, but we're here at Virgin Hotels in a beautiful 4,000 square foot suite, courtesy of our dear friend Ronnie Pellegrino, who just continues to roll out the red carpet, the New Yorker for a couple of Bostonians. I don't quite understand why he's been so welcoming, giving our Red Sox fandom, but it is great to be here. Great to have my twin brother come sort of surprise me out here because I've been away from the kids for a couple of weeks. So enough about all that noise. You know, one thing that I was alerted to was the fact that your wife had suggested, because you've been away a lot, that if she was going to let you come out here for Noche UFC, which is why we're here, by the way, that she was going to force you to cut your hair before you arrive. But it looks like the lettuce is still flowing. Oh, it's still flowing. And, you know, I don't know how many people on the NFL podcast want to hear about this hair, but we're going to keep it for a little while, see how things go.
All right.
Got some artwork, things working on. But I don't know, man. When I get home, my wife might want it gone. She thinks it's time. She's usually the boss. Anyway, so for those of you that haven't ingested Anik Squared in the past, really the meat and potatoes of the show, each week we pick 5 games against the spread. We go head to head against each other. Ultimate goal being to nail down our 5 selections for the super contest, the Westgate Super Contest, where we pick 5 games against the spread every week. So we will get into that as we look back at week 1, you know, and week 1 is always just brutal. There are times I feel like when I look at the board overall, I have a good feel for the board overall, but trying to nail down 5 games, it feels like an impossible task for me.
Well, our friend Big Ron just lays idle for week 1. He doesn't even attack the board for NFL week 1. And I actually think, I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but I think it's actually a good way to approach NFL handicapping. We don't have that luxury. We host an NFL podcast, and we also are part of this Las Vegas Super Contest and have been for years. But week 1 is very much a tricky navigation. There's some preseason information that maybe you want to let in. Perhaps we expected that Philadelphia wasn't going to be optimally sharp against New England, given that Jalen Hurts didn't play in the preseason, right? But you don't want to let everything in necessarily. And there are a lot of sharp people out there telling you the Chicago Bears were no good. But then you got guys like me who love DJ Moore and just expected him to get targeted more than a couple times. So it is hard for week 1. It was compounded for me because I was on an airplane back from Sydney, Australia. So even though I feel very prepared, having done my homework here today, one demerit for me in week 1 was that I just wasn't able to ingest a whole lot of NFL football.
That's all right. I'll pick you up there. But so as usual with most NFL weeks, there's some sharp selections, some square. So let's get back, see how we did overall. Let's get to our first segment presented by Toyo Tires, Tire and Ice. Let's get to it. Guys, the road ahead for this football season is uncertain, and there's definitely no map available for players, fans, or coaches. But in order to arrive at the big games, you need to get there safely. So next time you're in the market for tires, there's no better option route than a quick slant to Toyo Tires. Whether it's a set of open country tires for the mountains of Denver or 4 new Celsius sports for a city like LA, you can ride with confidence and no regrets with their 500-mile or 45-day trial. Open roads await this fall. Hit up toyotires.com to find a dealer near you. Toyo Tires, open roads await. 4 nice new Toyo tires on your Audi, if I'm not mistaken, yes?
Oh, yeah, we got Toyo tires on the Audi SQ5. I'm trying to put 4 on the minivan right now, so we'll see how that looks. But they look absolutely mint on the Audi SQ5. I just can't wait to talk about this whole Aaron Rodgers situation.
So, all right, well, let's just get right into it. So just unbelievably fascinating. And, you know, we record this show today. Things have, you know, that night you didn't know if it was torn, what's happening. But obviously Aaron Rodgers done for the year, torn Achilles. The result of the game feels irrelevant at this point, even though I enjoyed tremendously watching that. And you didn't see Hard Knocks. I have to just interject real quick. This kid Gibson, who ran it back for a touchdown, barely made the team, undrafted rookie. So that was special to see. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers originally?
Well, the result of the game is not irrelevant. We'll get into that later in the program. But as far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned, we grew up New England Patriots fans, starved New England Patriots fans at that. And one thing that I have talked about repeatedly on the UFC front or here is that I have softened a little bit as a sports fan. So there never would have been a time in my 20s nor 30s where I would have had a soft spot for the New York Jets. And some of my collegiate buddies who rooted for the New York Jets, I wouldn't mind for them to experience some happiness. Like maybe Jets getting to a Super Bowl but not actually winning it would be okay with me. So I do think my heart in that moment went out to Jets fans, even though part of me out of the other breath was suggesting this is unfortunately just New York Jets football and par for the course, right? But before the injury even happened, even Aaron Rodgers running out ceremoniously on September 11th with the American flag, he just looked 40, right? He looked old to me, right? On all 4 downs he played, he looked old to me. Small sample size, but on one of the downs, Aaron Rodgers was rolling out a play that he would have made in his sleep years ago to extend the play, and he was not able to do so. So there's a lot that goes into an injury like this, of course, and plyometrics, stretching, bad luck, just the Achilles tendon eventually going to give, right? But the fact that it happened on his first series as a New York Jet is hugely traumatic and really disappointing for their fan base. It's insane.
Unbelievable. Talk about the pliability. You can go visit TV12 up in Foxborough.
Well, Tom would have had a good pregame stretch. You know, I can't speak to Aaron Rodgers' pregame stretch, but I do think what you're not hearing on a lot of the national airwaves is that he did look slow and old before this play happened. No.
How about that roster, though? You know, and anyone who tuned into week 1 of Anik Squared, I did pick the Jets to win the Super Bowl. And, but that roster is absolutely stacked.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. No doubt about it.
They would have won by 50 points if Aaron Rodgers played. I'm telling you. Anyway, but I look at just quickly to talk about Zach Wilson. It's like, I actually like his game physically. I like fit, but mentally, do you think dude was ready to go? And I know the backup quarterback always has to be sort of ready to go to some extent, but if there was ever a dude and I watch Hard Knocks, like dude's hanging out, he's wearing these headbands like me. If you think that dude was mentally prepared, he was, all right, this is it. All right, here's my big start as backup. And he just wasn't ready to go. He made some play, but Garrett Wilson made that touchdown play. That had nothing to do with Zach.
Yeah, I would agree that Zach Wilson didn't seem ready to go. Do you have any point of comparison in your life as a musical theater major? No, I'm serious. Where you were like an understudy. Yeah, you always had the lead role probably, right? But where you were an understudy or you ever had to do something on short notice? Maybe not, right? So for me, in 2012, I got called up to call UFC 155, my first pay-per-view now 11 years ago. And I got that call on 3 days' notice. And I was prepared, obviously, when UFC 155 arrived. But I take myself back to that time and submit to you that I was so happy that call came in. And my mentality, however stoned and surprised I was getting that call 72 hours out, you want that call. And not that I was waiting by the phone, but I was certainly ready and hoping at some point to get a high-profile opportunity on short notice. So if you're Zach Wilson, what is your mentality?
Right. Does he want that call?
Do you want that call, or do you want to watch Aaron Rodgers get you a Super Bowl ring? And I'm not sure Zach Wilson wants that call.
Fascinating. So, we'll get back to the week that was week 1, but I just quickly want to talk about sort of how we arrive at our 5. And I don't think we've actually nailed the best way to get our 5. Like, I'm going to propose this week that you just submit your 5. So I submitted our 5 to the Super Contest last week. We might as well just get into it real quick. We both went 2-3 against each other. We'll get into those quickly. We went 2-3 in the Super Contest. I really drove the bus on the Super Contest this week. I'm going to talk about a couple of the games and sort of where we went, if that's okay. I'm going to talk about the 2 hits, 3 dumps. But this was a weird week. You were in Australia, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but I feel like if I went with my 5, we might have gone 1-4. So I sort of did a little bit of a mixed bag, and I don't think that ever works well.
Yeah, you were dicking around. You didn't do a good job.
So let me just talk about the 2 wins real quick. So Jaguars -5. Ended up winning by 10. Frankly, we almost lost this one, believe it or not. The very fluky fumble return for touchdown for Indianapolis that swung the game. But ultimately, Jacksonville, they kept the pressure on, closed the deal. They finished, I think, 14-0 in the fourth quarter. So they were certainly that. I felt like we earned that one, even though it maybe felt a little bit lucky. Then the Dolphins +3. I've been bullish on this team for a long time, even dating back to last year. I wish I had played that. They win the game outright at LA Chargers. For me, I was tuned in a little bit more to the Patriots-Eagles game, so I didn't see tons of snaps of that game. But the Dolphins at 25-1 to win the Super Bowl preseason on DraftKings Sportsbook, now down to 15-1.
Well, we got ESPN Radio West Palm Beach's Josh Cohen coming up here on the program today to shed a little light on the Miami Dolphins. Keep it moving.
But I will say I did add an S on McDaniel last week. You were right. Mike McDaniel.
UFC guys should not be correcting the NFL guys.
So the three dumps of the week where we go to, so we went with the Broncos -3.5. And, when we were both on the Giants on Anik Squared last week, you moved to the Broncos. And, for me, I just expected Sean Payton's boys to score more than 16 points. How about Jacoby Myers had a good game for what? Why are you shaking your head?
Well, I'm absolutely stunned. So I essentially said to him, dude, I'm jet lagged in Sydney. I got all these appearances, all these weigh-ins, way too much prep to do. You're going to have to handle the 5. So it was certainly surprising to me that one of the 5 you settled on was a game that I threw in there as sort of a last inclusion.
Yeah, but I'm not putting that game on you. I didn't love the board, and one of the other 2 that I was going to throw in that spot would have dumped too. So all right, I'm frankly happy to get out of there 2 and 3. The other pick, Bengals -2.5. Credit the Browns defense. I mean, Cincinnati was flat all day. They were 2 of 15 on third down. Joe Burrow now 1 and 5 against Cleveland. I don't love betting trends that much, but it had to be a frustrating day for the Bengals. Certainly it was a frustrating day for Brian Petrie, your boy, shout out. But no catches for T. Higgins. Patriots need to go get that guy in the offseason. But the Bengals burned us last year, week 1, in a survivor against the Jets. Burned us again in week 1. And I don't even want to talk about our final loss, Giants +3.
Can I just give you a thought on the Bengals before you fucking rifle along?
Yep.
So Cincinnati historically had been absolutely terrible against the Cleveland Browns. And oftentimes as a bettor, you're told not to get in the way of a streak. And I've been bitten by that a little bit, Rangers Blue Jays this week, right? Just don't get in the way of the Texas Rangers when they're just steamrolling the Toronto Blue Jays. And I try to sort of get in the way of this, right? Thinking that eventually Joe Burrow's due against Cleveland. No, he doesn't perform well there. He didn't have a preseason. What I should have been leaning into was the fact that he didn't have a preseason. He's probably going to come into his own a little bit, and just not a great spot for them in week 1. And I took the bait and we paid.
The final loss, Giants +3. And I know you didn't see this game, but I just have to tell you. So the opening drive, the Giants, and many of you I'm sure have seen, the Giants march it right down the field. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley running all over the place. Then they get a false start on like a 3rd and 2 on the 12-yard line. Then there's a bad snap, and then it's a block field goal for touchdown, and then everything changed. So for me, this head coach quarterback thing that we talk about, right? It's like I
let people know what that is.
Well, no, John always has said for many years the head coach and the quarterback. And
I even include the kicker. Sometimes I'll begin a handicap.
Yeah, so
head coach, quarterback,
loves his John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, Justin Tucker combo. But we love Brian Daboll. I can't get enough of Brian Daboll, and we're both real high on Daniel Jones. So to me, I think it was a little bit of not recognizing what the Dallas Cowboys could bring on defense. But I also do think that game swung tremendously at the beginning, and momentum was over. But anyway, I don't even want to get into that. 2 and 3, it is what it is. We also went 2 and 3 head to head. I'm going to move there real quickly. So your 5. Your 2 hits, Jaguars -5 head-to-head against me, and Packers +1. They win the game outright, stomp the Bears by 18. Now, you did talk about DJ Moore just now, but you were so bullish on the Packers last week, not only on the week, but for the season.
Yeah.
And I regret, because you frankly sold me on the show, and I should have moved the Bears out of my 5. But anyway, so your 2 hits, Jaguars, Packers. You did have the Bengals -2.5. You had the Broncos -4, which I pulled in, and you also had the Chiefs Thursday night -5, which, how do you feel about that one? Did you get to watch that game?
No, I barely saw a snap, but I've done a lot of research at this point in time. Yes, we were bullish on the Packers preseason. Didn't necessarily think the Bears were going to live up to a lot of those preseason expectations, even though I do like a lot of the talent and I liked some part of their offseason. But there are going to be teams that were going to be undervalued coming into this year. We talked about it on episode 1, the Green Bay Packers, the Los Angeles Rams, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay wins again in week 2. So we were happy to really have a sharp read on that, and certainly happy to beat you on that one head-to-head. But that highlighted what was otherwise a pretty forgettable week.
Yeah, and I'll quickly go through my 5. My 3 losses, Bears hosting the Packers, Giants hosting the Cowboys, both just look super square. But I had the Vikings -6, and they lose outright to Tampa Bay at home. And this one doesn't feel good, but man, the Vikings, they move the ball all over the field. They couldn't run the ball against Tampa Bay, but Kirk Cousins, man, throwing end zone interceptions. I had the Vikings money line in a 4-team parlay that included the Dolphins money line +140. There was a big opportunity there. They outgained Tampa Bay by 127 yards total, lose a turnover battle, 3-0. Anyway, Justin Jefferson was more pissed than me after that game, but that was not a good one. So anyway, 2 and 3 in the contest, 2 and 3 head-to-head. One more thing before we move it forward. I just have to say, the Buffalo Bills, right, and Josh Allen. Brian Dable, and we talked about this last year, removing a piece like that. You remember early in the season, Ken Dorsey in the booth last year, like throwing the fucking headset. And, so you got a head case in the booth in Ken Dorsey. He was a head case when he was a quarterback. And then you got a little bit of a head case in Josh Allen. And my boy Mike Florio did allude to this, but it was in my head too. You got a couple of head cases. Like, who's the one? And Florio said, like, who's the one in his ear? Like, hey, calm down. Like, who's the one telling, hey, Josh, we don't got to win it all right now. We get a little dumping it off here. We can win the game here. So I think Sean McDermott a little shaky. Now he's calling plays on defense. I wish the Jets I wish the Bills the best of luck with the Dolphins. You got a nice break maybe with no Aaron Rodgers, but anyway, fascinating.
Are you going to give me a chance to chime in, or is that just your little, let's go thesis statement? Mike Florio, right? He's your boy too. Everybody's your fucking boy, right? I do think this is a salient point. Now, you've been much more critical of Sean McDermott than anybody else out there, right? Mm-hmm. And I still like him, but in terms of the communication, I do believe at that point in time, who is the voice in his ear? And is it a calming influence? Because now you have all these national talking heads coming at Josh Allen. And is he able to tune out all of that noise? When we get to my picks for week 2, I think you're going to find that the answer is an unequivocal yes.
So I thought the Patriots were the better team against Philadelphia all week. I don't think they will be the better team this week against the Dolphins, who are all the rage. So we decided to call on our boy down in South Florida, Josh Cohen.
Gentlemen, what's popping?
What is happening, brother?
I can't believe there's 2 of you and you're side by side. So there's like people that believe that there's just one of you and it's CGI. Like there's 2 of you same time, blowing my mind. This is a head trip.
So I'm such a big fan of yours, and you've always been so supportive of my brother John. So I'm just going to start. For those of you who don't know who we have on our screen,
nobody does.
By the way, I've never met you face to face, but I said earlier to my boy Ron, I promise this guy is going to be a good friend of mine, and there's just no question in my mind that we are like 3 peas in a pod. So, host of the Josh Cohen and the Home Team on ESPN West Palm 106.3 with our boy Dean Thomas and Tina. You also do a podcast with Dean Thomas, Lover and the Fighter. I love everything that you put out there. I've been a fan for a long time, so I just wanted to welcome you. You are the first guest we've ever had on Anik Squared, so don't take that lightly. Wow.
Honestly, that's an honor, to be honest. And second of all, you'll probably change your mind after this shit and say no more guests. Probably won't go well. But I just want to say congratulations to both of you on your success and the fact you get to do what you love for a living. You're 2 lovable guys. I never see anybody online say anything negative about you. Conversely, I never see anyone online say anything good about me. Never. But when John laughs, that giggle on a UFC telecast, it's just like joy. It's like just like a little baby giggle joy that brings you. I don't but the giggle, and so now Jason, you have it too. And I know you're doing stuff with Fight Pass and my boy Ben Davis. But that giggle, I don't care how much money I lost during a fight card. There's a little giggle. It's like all's well in the world. I just feel better.
Well, thank you, buddy. Well, it's good to get a chance to talk to you. Obviously, I listened to you for years in South Florida. We have connected and actually met in person at UFC events. But, dude, you got that vocal quality that as a former broadcasting teacher, I can so appreciate. And it looks like you got a pretty good South Floridian backdrop right now. But we really want to pick your brain on some Dolphins things because I'm a Tua apologist. We both are. We are Tua defenders, even as New England Patriots fans. So even though we don't have any love lost for the Miami Dolphins, and even though I will take 18-1 over however many wins the 72 Dolphin outfit had.
Wow.
I really do like the Dolphins, and a big part of me really is rooting for them to stay healthy and do well. I'm curious what's the sort of vibe down there after an outstanding road win for the Fish in week 1.
Yeah, I mean, the expectations are high. And the thing about expectations is the saddest part is they're rarely met in life, regardless. You meet a girl on Hinge and then you meet her in person. It's not the same. It's not the same shit at all. You know what I'm talking about. Your buddy talks about a certain strain and then you buy a nickel's worth, dime's worth, and it's like, it's not what the Dolphin fans, and you guys know this, the Dolphin fans have been cautiously optimistic because I'm not sure they're sure what they have yet in Tua, but this feels like the first time in a long time that all the components are there. When Marino was on, the defense was bad. And then Marino was gone, the defense was good. And there's never been that complete team kind of a thing, it seems, at the right time. And your boy Tom Brady, the greatest living American, for 2 decades owned the division, so it didn't matter. It didn't matter who you were, what you were. Tua, it seems, is the guy. And for those that thought, well, look at Justin Herbert, why didn't we? Here's maybe why you didn't. Realistically, now with the Jets out of the picture, it seems, and Buffalo, I mean, you can't lose a game like they did on Monday night. Josh Allen, and I said this on the radio this week, if the Bills were the one that lost their quarterback, they would have won the game. If Josh Allen would have been knocked out of the game, they have a better chance to win than they did with him with 4 turnovers. The Miami Dolphins now are odds-on favorite to win the division. And you know that because obviously we pay attention to the numbers. So maybe that fits different. Maybe that feels different. McDaniel has a different job to do now that they're the guys, or so it seems. But going to New England, as you both know, has been not a good result for the Miami Dolphins. I think they're 2-14 in the last 16 times at Foxborough. So that's why they're just a 3-point favorite this weekend. Maybe that's why the line is as small as it is.
Hey, did you remember when Dan Marino hurt his Achilles? It's probably before your time.
No, I remember. Yeah.
What do you remember about that?
Didn't Scott, what's his face, play for him?
Scott Mitchell.
Scott Mitchell didn't. Wasn't replaced by
Southpaw Scotty Mitchell,
who, by the way, got paid. He had a year replacing Marino, and then he got paid. Here's what I remember about Dan Marino's career, and we kind of saw a little bit of this on Sunday night. Dan Marino's final game was 37-0 before he completed a pass, and you may remember that against the Jaguars in January of '99 or 2000. I guess 2000. It was 37-0 before Marino completed a pass. It was similar on Sunday night with Daniel Jones, but the Marino exit was every bit. If this is it for Aaron Rodgers, every bit is unceremonious.
Yeah. So I know that maybe you talk about this Dolphins 2-14 against the Patriots, but I have to say it feels like for years, even with Brady, they were 1-1 against the Dolphins. Even in the years where maybe the Dolphins were relevant, the Dolphins always sort of had their number. I think you get a great opportunity to get them in September. No weather to speak of, but you get the Patriots, who I do think were the better team last week at 0-1 with their back against the wall. I would be surprised if the Dolphins put up 36, 37 points again. But this is a big game in week 2. Feels like it at least.
It is absolutely a big game. And look, you guys know, you've been doing this as long as anybody. This time of year, we're really betting on expectation and reputation. We don't know yet what we got. We think we know. We think that girl picture on Hinge and Bumble is going to be what it is, but we need to meet her in person, and then we need to see her in the sunlight, and then we need to go swimming with her because my boys in college, we always said, like, take a girl swimming, you see her in the daylight, she got her hair wet without the makeup, now you see what you're working with. And we don't get that, we don't get that in football till about week 7, week 8. So right now we're still going on that picture on Bumble, on Tinder, and we're just meeting them, and let's get a look at what we got. But the numbers that we gave about 2-14, that's at Foxborough. That's in Patriot land.
I'm with you.
Right. Well, right.
And because just to let you know, and I don't mean to interrupt you. So I will have a very significant wager on the Dolphins this weekend. We're big emotional. We bet on the New York teams our whole life. John had a fat ticket on the Jets the other night, but so like the Dolphins minus 145 just to win that game, I'm already all over that. Cause for me, if the Patriots can find a way to beat your juggernaut, I'm happy to pay for it.
The old emotional hedge. Y'all win either way. Either you win your money or you feel good about it. I'll be honest. The emotional hedge is great, but winning money is better. Always,
I hear you.
Or at least losing money is worse. The thing to consider in this game is take a look at the survivor pool mathematics and what the analytics spit out for who they like, who they don't. The survivor pool people do not like Miami this weekend. And you say, well, of course not. They're just a 3-point favorite. But there's good reason to not like them historically and otherwise. But here's the thing, too, though. Tua is 4-0 consecutive now against Bill Belichick. Tua is the guy who, with another win, will tie the all-time record for most consecutive, which is like Neil O'Donnell or somebody random, pre-Patriot days. So Tua has a chance with a win here to go into uncharted territory as Belichick, Patriot coach. I win every time against you, 5 straight it would be. So that's something to consider.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And the Patriots historically in the month of September are trying to put everything together. If you look back over the last several years, Belichick tries to find what he has over the course of September, and then they try to fine tune. And philosophically, they've been rooted in that for a while. So generally speaking, in a broad scope, there are a lot of people out there that like to fade the Patriots early and then play them later in the year. To what extent are you betting this league on a week-to-week basis? And do you have any selection for our listeners and viewers in week 2?
I mean, John, none whatsoever. I live in the state of Florida where it's illegal to wager on sports. I have no idea what you're talking about. You have to be cautious this time of year. You really do, because again, we didn't meet that girl yet in person. So make sure you know what you're betting, who you think you're betting before you do. So we take it kind of slow this time of year. I like to put together, and I know you're going to say sucker bet, and I know the books love this too. 4-team 13-point teaser, NFL only. 4 teams, 13-point teaser. So you got to get all of them right. I like this
early in the season. Go ahead. Yep.
All right. So here's the thing. So last weekend, there were 16 games, obviously, 32 teams. You get 13 points to put on either side. 27 of those 32 teams would have been a winner. Basically, in 11 of the 16 games, you didn't need to be on the winning side. It worked on both sides. So what's better than either way you win? You just had to avoid those 5 instances. That was not the case. So most places, the 13 points, a push is a loss. So be cautious of that. If you can obviously pay more juice where 13 makes it a push, then great. If 13 is a loser, don't even think about putting it on a team without a hook. If they don't have a half a point, don't do it, because then actually it's just a 12-point teaser, right? So let's do this, because I know people like to bet the national game. They want action on Thursday night. They want action. We'll include Thursday night. 4 teams, 13-point teaser. We'll take the Eagles and flip them from -6.5 to +6.5. I think they keep it inside that number. Why wouldn't they? They're at home. Why not? Why not? Then we'll go Detroit Lions. We can get them +7.5 when you take the 13 points. Some would say you don't want to cross the 0 number, but there's certain spots in which you do. NFL, if the odds makers are close, if they're within 25 points, well, then we're good, right? Because you got 26 to work with. So we'll go Philly +6.5, the Lions +7.5. The next one is a little bit of a hate F. The Buffalo Bills, Monday night, no business losing that game. And you say, well, they can't be bad again. I don't know. Jimmy G, I mean, who knows how that locker room's feeling? They may be thinking, no one since 2018 has more turnovers in the NFL than Josh Allen. No one has turned the ball over more than him since 2018. So let's take the Las Vegas Raiders, and instead of being 9.5, now they're +22.5. So even if they're terrible, they still get to keep it within 3 touchdowns and a point. I will make the third leg the Las Vegas Raiders +22.5, and we'll finish it off in division where it seems the game should be played kind of close and tight. The Baltimore Ravens +16.5 against the Bengal team that was flat out bad with Joe Burrow, with the calf. We don't know where he's at. Are they as bad as they seem week 1? Probably not, but that's a division game. So give me the Ravens +16.5. And if Lamar's got a backdoor cover, well, then so be it. But that's your play.
I love it. And I've seen some sharp guys on the Seahawks this week. I love Detroit at home. I'm fading the Seahawks on the season. Detroit had some extra time to prepare. I even like them -5.5. So certainly +7.5 I like. But great stuff, man. I like all of it. Anything else for JC?
Josh, we very much look forward to being at Patriots Dolphins in South Florida. I think it's October 28th, but don't be a stranger, brother. Hopefully we can break some bread before then. And, thanks for being the inaugural guest on Anik Squared, because you're a good egg. Overdue to have you on the Anik and Florian podcast here on the DraftKings channel and network. But we appreciate your time today and your skills as always on the mic, kid.
Legit honor and privilege. Listen, anytime you need, I don't have any friends. Nobody likes me, and I ain't got shit to do. So let me know if you ever need help. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for having me.
You're the best. You got 2 big fans here. We got to come see you and your boy Dean and Tina in West Palm.
Do that.
So let's make
anytime.
that happen.
Anytime.
Right,
come through.
You're the best. Appreciate it. Josh Cohen, everybody. Find him on 106.3 ESPN West Palm Beach. I love that guy. He's been a big fan of yours, big supporter of yours. I found out about him because he was showing you mad love back in the day. So Appreciate that.
We could do worse than giving Josh Cohen a regular spot here on Anik Squared. I'm trying to figure out a role for my guy, Big Ron Pellegrino, as well on the program. But yeah, some interesting insight down there as far as the Miami Dolphins are concerned. And, I think at times they're going to be victims of expectation, just given what they were able to do last offseason. But I don't know. I'd be pretty darn excited when you look at the Miami Dolphins schedule at the beginning of the year. I thought one of their tougher games, albeit in week 1, but was at LA Chargers, and it's a W.
Telling. Oh, it's nothing like the National Football League. And I remember last year, week 18, parents always talk about, man, how quick these kids grow up, how quick everything goes. Well, I'm going to appreciate the moment right now that it's only week 2, because week 17 comes quick. I know the UFC train rolls every Saturday all year, but the NFL doesn't. So I'm going to appreciate being in the early part of the season. Sundays remain ours. Let's get to the picks. So NFL season is here. This Sunday for me, I was parked in front of the TV all day, locked into everything pro football as usual. So we at Anik Squared are happy to announce, as you know, that we have partnered with our title sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official partner of the National Football League, to bring all new customers an exciting way to join in on the action right now. New customers download the DraftKings app, use our promo code SQUARED, that's SQUARED, bet just $5 and boom, $200 in bonus bets hit your account instantly. So don't wait any longer. Get some skin in the game and download the DraftKings app now. You can stay in on the action and use your $200 bonus bets as well on DraftKings same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets together from the same game for a shot at an even bigger payout. And if sports betting is not available in your state, don't worry about it. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up using promo code SQUARED to tell them the Anik Bros sent you. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Better option to use the promo code SQUARED than to tell anybody that the Anik brothers sent you anywhere to do anything. But it does give us an important time to let people know why we named the show Anik Squared. Of course, we are twins, but we don't project ourselves as NFL sharps per se. We have sharp tendencies. We have a wealth of NFL betting experience, 27 years in the space, right? But it's sort of a play on sharp versus square a little bit as well. And sometimes for me, I lean more towards square, in part because I'm on the road doing the UFC stuff and I can't just wrap my head around this stuff as much as I would like to. One thing that I find interesting, though, is when I hear people talk about parlays and teasers. I like teasers every now and again. I placed only 2 parlays the entire 2022 NFL season. So big picture, I'm a straight wager guy every day of the week. You're talking parlays, Vikings week 1, you lose me at the word parlay.
Yeah, well, and I like things that are challenging. And part of the reason I like this contest is because it's so difficult. I placed one bet in the sportsbook last week. It was the Philadelphia Eagles minus 190, super heavy. And I could have lost it, but I don't love betting every game against the spread on the slate. But for us, picking those 5 games, part of the reason I like it is because maybe I'm not always great at it. But let's be great at it week 2. Let's go head to head. Just to refresh you, so we pick 5 games head-to-head against each other, ultimately narrowing down our 5 selections for the Westgate Las Vegas Super Contest. One important rule, we don't know which games we're going to be on now, so we cannot duplicate. So if I'm on the Patriots this week and I select that game, he's got to move off of it, even if he hasn't researched the game or doesn't have another selection. We both went 2 and 3. You led us last week. I am going to lead us off this week, if you don't mind.
Please
make the first selection. I'm taking the Dolphins minus 2.5 at the Patriots. Big mistake for me not fading the Patriots in week 1. I've said it twice already. They were the better team. I typically like the emotional hedge, and Philly covered there. To me, I said it to Josh Cohen, for the Dolphins to get to come up to Foxborough in September where there isn't weather, I think is a huge advantage. I don't know how they're not dripping with confidence. I do think there will be things that tighten up for the Dolphins defensively, where I don't think they're going to be giving up north of 30 points to Mac Jones and the Patriots offense. I also think the Patriots defense was outstanding week 1 against Philadelphia, despite the result. I don't expect them to be as good. I just think the Dolphins find a way. This is more, I see these teams on very different tracks this season. So the small number, the Dolphins, did you have the Dolphins as well?
Patriots in a minor upset for me. I like New England in week 2 on the money line. Take the 2.5 if you so choose, but I'm not sure they're going to help you much. But one of the rare instances in which I like the Patriots. You're also talking about a Dolphins team that does have to win back-to-back road games. Never an easy way to start a season. So we're on opposite sides of that, but the New England Patriots do not crack my 5. My first selection of the week, and man, am I a sucker for the Buffalo Bills. I have lost more money on the Buffalo Bills than any team I have ever bet on in professional sports. That's why I went $500 on the Jets on Monday night. I wasn't going to do it, and man, did we feel good. Felt good the whole way. Can you believe we got that ticket home? Jets +2 on Monday Night Football. Anyway, Bills -8.5 against the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't even know if I like Josh Cohen's tease, Raiders catching 22.5. You're giving me one of the best teams in the NFL at home, and they are pissed off. Josh Allen had 4 turnovers last weekend. He's not the laughing stock of the NFL, but he certainly is getting a lot of targets and bullets and arrows out there right now. You're talking about a Raiders team that's going to have to win back-to-back road games to begin the season. I've never been a Jimmy Garoppolo guy. I'm not sure how long he's actually going to have that job. For me, I'm getting one of the best teams in the NFL at home against one of the teams that I think by season's end could be one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they're also, as I mentioned, competing on the road in back-to-back games. So I'll take Bills at -10 or more. DraftKings Sportsbook has it 8.5. Bills -8.5 makes my card for week 2.
Man, just fascinating to me. I'm still getting over the fact that you took the Patriots. So you just went 2 back-to-back there. I'm going to go with the Steelers.
No, well, I didn't go 2 back-to-back. I said the Patriots are not of my 5, but I would be on that side.
Oh, you're not picking
Bills
the
-8.5.
Yeah, I might
you
not
need the other earbud.
I might not.
You need the other AirPod.
I couldn't get over the fact. Anyway.
Yeah, Patriots don't make my card. Bills -8.5, though. I will get it now. DraftKings Sportsbook.
You know, I hate this pick, but I'm making it. Steelers +2 versus the Browns is my second selection.
One of 2 Monday Night Football games, right?
Yes, and for me here, I'm trying not to overreact to week 1 where Cleveland was tough, dominated Cincinnati, held them to 142 total yards. Pittsburgh had nothing for San Francisco, but I was high on Pittsburgh going into the season. I just think this is a huge game for Pittsburgh not to go 0-2 and lose your first 2 games at home. I think they are going to have desperate urgency in this spot. I wouldn't be surprised to be wrong here. This is a little bit of an opposite play because I like Deshaun Watson a lot. The Browns have a lot to offer defensively, but I'm taking the Steelers +2, my second selection.
If I were on the Browns, it would not be because of Deshaun Watson. It would be because of Nick Chubb and that defense. Historically, Mike Tomlin has been great on Monday Night Football. The Steelers are usually pretty darn good in primetime, but that's a huge layoff for me. I wouldn't be surprised to see that one go either way. All right. Am I going to fade Patrick Mahomes on his 28th birthday? Is that what I'm going to do right now? Yes, I am. Jaguars +3, home to the Buffalo Bills. Chris Jones will be back for Kansas City. Travis Kelce was able to practice in a limited capacity on Wednesday. That is the day on which we are taping Anik Squared. So it looks as though Kelce maybe is going to play this weekend, but perhaps Andy Reid would exercise some caution and not trot him out there, but it's a huge game. Could be a huge game in terms of tiebreaker late in the year, potentially, if you're as high on Jacksonville as I am. Last win for the Jacksonville Jaguars against Kansas City came in 2009. Check your box score, David Garrard to Mike Sims Walker for 61 yards and a touch. Matt Castle, quarterback of your 1-7 Kansas City Chiefs. It's been a long time, right?
He got a nice paycheck to quarterback that 1-7 Kansas City Chiefs team.
14 years since the Jaguars have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not sure if they're going to beat him. I think they might beat him outright, but I will take the 3. It is Patrick Mahomes' 28th birthday. I don't think the Chiefs get their 8th straight win in the series. Jacksonville +3 to keep it close and maybe win a shootout in Duval County. Let's go.
So I originally had Kansas City in my 5, and by the time I was done writing my breakdown, I liked Jacksonville. So we'll see. But that's fascinating. So Casey, not my 5. My third selection, Packers -2 at the Falcons. I wanted to bet the Falcons here, but I don't want to be late to this cheese party that you started last week. You really sold me last week. I really wish Green Bay had been in the 5. Everything you said about Jordan Love, and I know he still has some things to show, but I like this team. And the Falcons to me are a one-dimensional team. So Bijan Robinson did some things, but Desmond Ridder, only 15 completions last week. 6 of them were to Bijan Robinson. By the way, Bijan Robinson is the real deal. There's a reason why he was going in top 3 of these fantasy. But Matt LaFleur, I just think the sort of heavy air has been lifted off of Green Bay, like you said last week, and I'm sort of ride with it. I just think they're the better team, a great opportunity to get to 2-0 against a team that is still sort of building. So my third selection, Packers -2, the Falcons.
Absolutely love that selection. All right, next for me, not trying to overthink it here. You will find historically I don't end up on a lot of favorites who are favored by more than a field goal, but Lions -5.5. home to the Seattle Seahawks. I thought for sure this was going to end up in your 5. Extra time to prepare. I don't have to tell our viewership they went into Arrowhead and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, granted without Travis Kelce, on banner night. You're just going to come home and give it right back. Here's a bet on the Fighting Dan Campbells to not do just that. And I just don't think that Seattle is going to be able to consistently cause short drives for Detroit. I think Detroit gets to 28 or more. I don't think Seattle gets to 17. Lions up to 7 for me. It's 5.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Lions minus 5.5 makes my call for week 2.
So the Lions minus 5.5 is going to have to be in the Super Contest, or depending on where the line is. But there are 2 guys, I won't name their names, both probably sharper than me, who are all loving Seattle this early line this week. So I'm fascinated. But I love the Lions here. I'm glad you're on them. Great pick. All right, my 4th selection.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Texans at home. Still getting a 1.5, I believe, on DraftKings Sportsbook. Texans plus a 1.5 at home versus the Indianapolis Colts. Tough matchup week 1 for the Texans at the Ravens. I love the head coach, DeMeco Ryans, as a leader of men. You know, imagine him being on the sidelines in Buffalo, right? I think he could calm things down a bit. I know Sean McDermott has some pedigree there, but matchup of rookie quarterbacks here, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Richardson was probably better than Stroud last week. But the Colts were lucky to be in that game. And I think it's a bad situation without Jonathan Taylor, probably healthy enough to be playing, not playing. I'm a big karma guy. I don't love how the juice is flowing in Indianapolis. I think the Texans get a win at home. That's my 4th selection. Texans plus 1.5 wouldn't surprise me if they close as a favorite.
Definitely on that side, although it did not crack my 5. The next selection for me, the Los Angeles Rams plus 8, home to the San Francisco 49ers. Did the 49ers win the Super Bowl yet? Or because it seems like after week 1, everybody wants to crown them. Can we wake up Dennis Green from the dirt nap? If you want to crown him, crown him. I'm not crowning him yet. So does Sean McVay and Aaron Donald, they just trying to get over the season win total this year? What exactly are they trying to do? Did Matthew Stafford look like a guy who is just ready for the Hall of Fame? Or does he still have some juice in the tires, right? Give me the Rams plus 8. San Francisco swept the season series in 2022. They did have a playoff game earlier that year as part of a different season. But last year, the San Francisco 49ers outscored the LA Rams by a combined margin of 55-23. And again, just thinking Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are going to keep this game close. This is one of the target games on their calendar, right? Obviously, last year it did not go swimmingly for them against the San Francisco 49ers. I'm through a key number here. I'm not sure where it's going to close, but I will gobble up all of those points. Rams plus 8, home to the 49ers. I believe they're home, is a play for me in week 2.
Yeah, that selection's just okay for me, dog, if I'm being honest with you. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if that's a blowout. I don't know what we have in the Rams yet, and I do think we know what we have with the 49ers, which
Super Bowl champs.
Well, but I think a lot of questions are answered. Brock Purdy is certainly healthy. They're ready to go. I love that team. And Brandon Ayuk might be their best offensive weapon. I mean, their weapons are insane. My final selection. No, and I just want to say, sometimes I don't want to react to week 1, but you know what? I need to fucking react to week 1. I'm betting against the Bears, man. The Bears aren't ready. I'm taking the Bucs minus 3 at home versus the Bears. I didn't love Mike Evans, right? He scores a touchdown, doesn't celebrate with his teammates, sort of runs off the field. But it's like Baker Mayfield has dealt with so much shit in his career that I feel like not much really bothers this guy. They got a game against a beatable team at home. I think they ride the momentum of a big road win against Minnesota. They were great stopping the run against Minnesota. If they stop the run against the Bears, I don't see the Bears throwing it all over them. So I'm going with the Bucs. I don't love, I'm betting here on Bucs, Texans, Packers, Steelers, a lot of young quarterbacks here, but I need to pay attention to what my eyes tell me. So Bucs minus 3 versus the Bears, my final selection for week 2.
And that Tampa Bay selection is a pick on a lot more than just Baker Mayfield, right? You're betting on the entire team. Mm-hmm. So, and it's okay to react to week 1, right? You're trying not to overreact to week 1. And we love the reaction here as it relates to week 2. I just think people don't necessarily care about your picks a week later. Your picks, my picks, people don't generally care once they're in the rearview mirror. All right, final selection for me. And some of you may be watching this on Thursday night or Friday or Saturday, at which time the Eagles and the Vikings will have already played. You obviously prevent me from betting on that game. We can't play the Thursday night game here, but I did just go downstairs here at Virgin and put $220 American on the Philadelphia Eagles -6.5. I think they beat Minnesota by a couple of touchdowns. So anything up to 7 for me on Philadelphia Thursday night is fine. I'll go with the Washington Commanders, the Magic Johnson-owned Washington Commanders, +3.5 at the Denver Broncos. And this is far too reactionary maybe of me when it comes to the Denver Broncos. I mean, Russell Wilson, man, my God, like how long is he going to be the quarterback? So the Washington defense is the reason for this selection. I think it's a tight-knit locker room. I think they're well coached. I think there's a lot of opportunity for improvement based upon their performance against the Arizona Cardinals the previous week. I thought they could have controlled the clock more. They committed too many penalties. They put the ball on the ground twice. So I don't know, man, threw a key number here, and I don't think the Denver Broncos right now should be laying chalk against anybody. So the Washington Commanders +3.5, actually one of my more enticing selections of the week. And that rounds out my 5. The only other notes I had, Chargers and Titans. LA Chargers are -3 at the Tennessee Titans. It just feels like an absolute trap. They played a close game last year. The Chargers are 0-1 right now. I feel pretty convicted in saying the Chargers are not going to be 0-2, but like there's just no way that I could bet that game and bet against Mike Vrabel laying 3 points on the road.
Yeah, and I still have questions about the leadership for the Los Angeles Chargers. Anyway, I know all the guys like him. All right. That'll put a wrap on week 2, season 2, Anik Squared. We appreciate you all being with us. Shout out to our talented, hard-working producer, Cody Merrill. We appreciate everything you do. Shout out to Big Ron Pellegrino one more time. Hit up Paradise Cantina, open 24 hours here in Las Vegas. Josh Cohen, much love. We appreciate you being on. We will see you all next week on Anik Squared. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the games this weekend. Peace.